Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil ameen, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. We discussed last time the first segment of raising pious and good Muslims. So I'll just take about 3 minutes to have prepared a pointer collecting the summary of what we discussed. I promise that I will give you an email address and a WhatsApp number where you can get the transcripts of what I'm saying. Plus, you have any questions, you can send it there. If you have any questions about real situations with your kids, you can send it there and we'll try to answer you. It's free, but it may take time based on who answers this or what time he has. Okay, so I'll give you this. I'll write it down at the end of the discussion. The summary was raising kids is a responsibility. Number one, we have to take this responsibility. So now we are talking in the realm of being a Muslim parent. Okay, so number two, it is a project. And it should be taken as such. And what do you do? What do we do in a project? Well, we plan, provide resources, we make a precise strategy, and we have a tactful execution of our strategy. And the most important ingredient is patience. I'll give you an example that if a baby is born, the mother and the father takes care of him or her. And after 3-4 years, people can see, he's walking or she's walking. But if the mother and the father starts measuring her height and weight every day to see how is he or she is progressing, except for confusion and tension, nothing is going to be. So patience is very important. Then the fourth thing was dua. A lot of time we forget. It's we know something so well that sometimes we don't forget. We forget to. Dua is very important because whatever we do in this world, Allah has a system. He wants us to do all that is needed, and then we have to constantly pray to Him because at the end of the day, every matter goes to Him for acceptance or non-acceptance. So dua is very important. You can do dua walking, sitting. A lot of people say, we don't have time for dua. No, you can do anytime. Like, if we are working here, our heart can be with Allah, and while I'm talking, I can speak to Allah, please make it happen. This is the type of relationship. So if we do all this, inshallah, we'll. Now, patience, I've already done this. Now, the formative years of 1 to 12 years are very important. So we have to make sure that, parents have to do a lot of work in this. And I'll discuss as. Now, the most important thing was pointed out by my teacher, Khalid Saab, and this is what is today. What is the mandatory prerequisite for raising pious kids? There is a mandatory requirement. If Muslim parents are not on this requirement, things may not happen as expected. And that is the parents' own mutual conduct, relationship, trust, care, unconditional support for each other. Why it is important? Because if this segment is deficient or flawed, then it's going to be, probably it may not happen. Regarding this segment is so important. You see, our kids see, absorb, and then adapt. So if they see parents without trust, without care for each other, shouting, agitating, not being gentle to each other, you can figure it out how things will be passed on. So very important. And next thing is parents' respective role. You see, Allah has made respective roles for both father and mother. We'll discuss later in a little detail, but shifting of roles may not get you the results. Temporarily, that's fine. You can have shifting of roles by necessity but it may not give you the results as we expect. Okay, now what my talk is basically on divided into two segments. That was the macro strategy and then the micro strategy of kids. So I have to discuss the second segment of the macro strategy. Okay, now today the challenge is freedom. So what we have to do, educate, don't argue, educate them, discuss with them. Next thing, gain religious knowledge yourself firsthand. Because kids, when they learn from their parents, it's the most impact on them. So try to gain knowledge of Islam, at least the basic knowledge yourself. Don't leave it for others. And then you can divert them to the scholars that you follow or you take guidance on. Be a model. Because kids don't do anything except they need a model to follow. So if your husband and wife's relationship is not a model one, and obviously we aren't perfect, but what I'm saying is in a general terminology, if a home's environment is full of agitation, fighting, opposing each other, then I can guarantee kids are going to be like this, what you are. And the most important thing is instill the trust in them. The trust has to be instilled by keeping them physically every time closer to you, discussing with them their problems, so that what is the test of that trust? That the trust test is that if your kids want to know anything, they know that my parents are the treasure of that. They should not go to someone. So try to do that. Once you have instilled that trust, I'm sure they're going to come back to you. And last, it's a proactive discussion about immorality, sinfulness, and taboos. In today's age, this has become very important. And I've already told you that I brought up my children in a manner where Allah made me do this, and the results are very good. We discussed things that were not good and were ready to knock at their doors, but 2 or 3 years before that, we started discussing. And I gave you an example last time, so you can see that. So now this was the recap. Now the macro strategy of how to raise our kids. First of all, whenever you want to mentor somebody or you want to train somebody, that somebody has to have one prerequisite. That is, he's soft and he is very, very patient. And the real example is Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In the Quran, Allah says that if you were not that soft with people in your behavior, people would have ran away. So उर्दू में हम इसको यूं कहते हैं कि जब तरबियत करनी हो ना किसी की, तो तरबियत करने वाला और कुछ नहीं हो सकता सिवाय इसके कि वो बहुत पेशेंस he takes, patient, forgiving nature and loving nature. That is the reason I can prove my point that Allah programmed the female in such a manner that love, care, affection, physical bond, and threshold to bear the physical pain and mental pain while raising these kids. Please ponder on this. And I can give you a quick test. If a baby is born today and the mother goes away and the father is set to take care of this baby right from the minute 1 to the next few years or whatever, I can assure you the general behavior would be on the 3rd day, the father is going to throw that baby in the trash can. You have to understand that Allah programmed the mother in such a way that it was embedded in her. Whatever happens, she's not, she hasn't slept, but the baby cries, she gets up. We have been working the whole day. and the baby cries, and my wife tells me to change the diapers, just imagine yourself in that, and you can get the answer. So that's prerequisite. That love, forgiveness, and extreme patience. So that is important. Whenever you mentor somebody as well, not only as your kids, if you mentor, you're not forgiving, you're not, giving him a sense that, you value him, and you're not going to take him to the task for all that he does wrong, he would do wrong. That's why he is with you. So similarly with the kids, we have to have this attitude. Second thing is set your goal. I want my kids to become something. Set a goal. If today's topic is taken, we have a goal of being a pious, good Muslim, right? Right? Okay, a pious Muslim and a good human being. Which comes first? A lot of people tell me that, once he's religious, he's going to be a good Muslim. I said, no, obviously, inshallah, he's going to become, but these have to be taken separately. And I give the most irrefutable argument on this. At what age our Prophet ﷺ was given the prophethood? 40 years. So the deen started at 40 years. But what those 40 years were spent on? Just imagine. You get the answer. So make sure that both these aspects are taken. They are simultaneous. They are not alternative, mind you. A lot of people say, it doesn't matter, you have to be a good man. It's not a problem because, every religion teaches honesty. I have a separate lecture on this. Where I have given my arguments that a non-religious or an atheist or agnostic can also be a very good human being in this life. So whenever I get a chance, I will just present it. Now we have set the goal. Now we have to assess the possibility of achieving that goal for us, because we have to do as parents. The first assessment would be sit down with your spouse and write down the qualities that you need in your kid, whatever it may be, namaz, whatever, you write it down. And please do it. It's very important. And then both of you benchmark your own personality, how much you have those qualities or those traits or those practices that you want your kids to. Once you get the answer, obviously, then it's going to be a big homework. Because kids are not going to become Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and we are free to do everything what we want. We have to understand. And this is the big fallacy that we have. People coming to me say, my kid is not praying, he's not going to the mosque. I said, how many times do you pray? How many times you go to the mosque? And there is a mirror when you can see it. So, that's very, very, the most important thing of today's discussion, my discussion for me and you. We have to set the goal and immediately benchmark and audit ourselves with our spouse. That are we being realistic, or we are just daydreaming about kids becoming pious or good Muslims? Okay, so that's very important. I've already discussed that your marital relationship and its quality is going to be the most important factor. So we've already discussed. Respective roles. Where mother is needed, mother has to be there. The father is needed, the father has to be there. If mother is needed and she's not there in the formative years because of whatever, the necessity, that can, and I have seen in my experience, that leads to problems. Because you see, Allah has made a program. If you write a program and you don't follow that program, you will get the results that are defective. Let's be very honest. So you have to make things happen. Well, necessities and some expediencies definitely would come. But it's my personal opinion, and anybody has the right to disagree with it, that the time the baby is born, and the baby is like 12 to 16 years. If mother is absent because of necessity or whatever, things will not be as wanted. Optimum things, optimum. To give you an example, we have a factory and we have about a couple of machines that we make our goods. So we need a particular quality of this merchandise to be produced. So we know these traits that this has to be this standard. Now the machinery is defective. How would we get those? It's as simple as that. I'll take your questions later on. Okay. I've already discussed mother has been programmed. So if the mother is there for the kids, the moment he's born till 12 or 13, 14 years, then I tell my sisters, my daughters, then you have a problem, don't have a problem, because the formation, the mold has been done. Now he's an independent person after 13. You can have your own dreams, you can do whatever you want, but never be off the guard. You have to be monitoring your kids, because you see, unfortunately, Allah has made this system. He cannot go to anywhere. I mean, I would love that, we produce a child and Khalid Sahab raise him. I would love that. And after 25 years, he give me, this is your son. Please take him, enjoy his company and enjoy his children. No. Unfortunately, this is the situation. Okay, now the most important thing in this segment is also this. At 2 to 3 years of age, the child starts noticing things. And his trait is, there are few traits of a child in this age, from 0 to 4. Observation, very, very clearly. I've seen my kids, my grandkids. They observe, they may differ in degrees, but they are same in kind. They absorb things. They replicate things. They deduce things from what they have been seeing and doing. They justify. And then they learn and form a habit. So now you see, we have to understand that if this process is going on, what is needed to be demonstrated in front of them, that is important. And that's the time where the very, very root foundation of a personality is being manufactured, if you allow me to say, okay? So again, that is imperative that you be models. I'll give you an example. I have my granddaughter, and she, at 2.5 years age, whenever she doesn't get something, she's going to shout because it's her age. But we have made it a point in our family, with my son, with my daughter-in-law, that we would never shout when we need something. There are two things going on. We are first training ourselves, restraining ourselves. And then the baby, in spite of the fact that that age induces agitation on things not being done, she now knows that, this is not right because nobody else is doing it. So these are the small hacks that you can, and everybody knows his situation, his kids, but this is the basic principle. Be a model. If you don't want them to do something, for God's sake, don't do it. Why? Because you see, kids, they observe everything, but especially the contradiction. Remember, this is my tested experience, that you tell them not to do something, and if you are involved in doing that thing, believe me, that's very lethal. So make sure, raising kids is actually first reforming ourselves, in a very short nutshell. Okay, now I have this. Our macro strategy is finished. You be a model. You make sure they are noticing everything. You take care of yourself. Now this, I have made a summary in which I have put this age, this 0 to 4. What is the tendency of the child in this age? And what needs to be done, demonstrated, required, or requested out of them? Like how would you behave with them? Okay. And then how would you benchmark the progress and how would you deal those things that are coming up in that benchmark? It's like 0 to 4, and then 5 to 7, and 9 to 12, and then 16 above. I just want to know how many of you have kids that are below 12 years? Okay. Okay. So you don't need to train them.
No, no, we need to, like, as you said, that you are sitting with your son and your daughter-in-law. So that's not I think it's still our responsibility if they're not going the right direction.
That's very good. But you have to understand one thing, I'll just explain. You see, when you become a granddad, please come up with something that you don't agree with me. You see, we spent our life raising our children. We made a rule and, those norms, what we want them to transfer. But when our children get married, we older people have to understand that now they are going to call the shots. It may be very harsh, but this is the truth. Come back, rewind yourself to be when you were young, you got married and you have 4 kids, and your mom and dad coming and said, look, you should tell them this, you should tell them this, we didn't like it. So now please, it's very good that you have a very good desire to educate them, but that has to be, otherwise it's going to backfire. Because you see, Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us that don't choose something for others that you are not ready for yourself. So beautiful, very good, please go ahead, but take on board. Like I'm giving you a basic example. I love tea. I cannot live without tea. My kids love tea, but now my daughter-in-law, she says, Baba, I don't want my kid to have tea. As much as I love that, my granddaughter would take tea, I would, restrain myself. Why? Because you see, you have to respect the people who are on a particular designation. Yesterday, we were on this designation. We called the shot. Today, we have to respect. And obviously, if you are good to your kids, why would not they take your advice? But I can tell you, Ustaz told me to have a whole lecture on people who have become, whose kids have been married, how they should understand that now their life is going to change in a certain manner. And when I sit in the conflicts of marital conflicts, 30% of the time, believe you me, I come to the conclusion that it's the parents that are making a problem, not the couple. So I just went into little detail. Very good. Please go ahead. If you have this responsibility, I have the same responsibility, but with these caveats that
I fully understand and 100% agree with you. The only thing that I would like to, when you're holding this sheet, that if these are the resources, those are available, we can just pass on these resources to them.
Sure.
Just that.
Yeah. That is,
otherwise,
that is
I 100% agree with you. We went through that way, or we went through the same experience that you and any other grandparents.
My work is available to everyone. And actually, you see, the entire work needs about 25 minutes, 6 sessions. But obviously, we didn't have time, so we have to. But we have a program with Al-Mawrid that I'll make 25 minutes sessions and give all these resources. Because you see, me and you will soon leave for Allah. What are we going to leave? This beneficial knowledge that will become a sadaqah jariyah. My aim is this. I don't want to make money with this. I have raised my kids. Now they know what to do, alhamdulillah. But the society, the community gave me so much. I have to return it. And then what would I tell to Allah when I go to him? I would tell, I knew this much. I don't know everything. I left this. So inshallah, this is going to be available. I'll leave my contact and you can get all that you need. Anyway, so now if I may skip 0 to 4. So, time is at pressing. 0 to 4, I will leave. But I'll just quickly go through. Perform salah punctually, making punctuality an issue for you. That's very important. My son may not be he would not pray as punctually as he is today, maybe when he was 4, 5, 6 years old. But he knew that his dad is going to plan his schedule based on the time of Salah being constant. And even today, when he says that, I will go there and I'll pray Salah afterwards, I said, no way. It should be other way around. You have to make a schedule where you first make the Salah constant and everything variable. And believe you, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. You see, your punctuality issue will embed them in them. Maybe they not follow you at that time, but they know that, oh, my dad never missed us. So please, going to the mosque, please. If your kids are small, when you are praying at the home, lay a small janamaz and just say, I'm reading. I have seen my kids at the age of 2, 3, they would, once I'm in the Salah, they would come and replicate. Now my granddaughter does that. It's a tested technique, okay? He recites specific verses of Quran in front of them with the meaning. Small surahs. I sit down with my grandchild. I used to sit down with my kids, and we would, at that time, we had those tape recorders. So I'll play some Surah Fatiha and something, and then close it. So every day, maybe they know that, this is something to be learned, and automatically their mind is so sharp, they picked up. And alhamdulillah, by the time my kids were like 8, 9, or 12, they knew these ayahs and the context by heart. Like who was Maryam, who was Yusuf. So this is what we have to do. So if 16 years we sweat and we labor, then you can expect that after 16 years, you will find them doing it. As a patience. Never lose your heart. Nothing is the end of the world, but you have to have your mind over the matter. Okay? Now make your habit to offer thanks and gratitude loudly. You see, you come in the house and you say, Assalamu alaikum. They listen. They listen. Now, that small kid of 2, 2.5, whenever the doors open, she says, Assalamu alaikum. Now it's not going to go. It's embedded. You say shukr. Whenever you get something, you, like me, and let them observe. Oh Allah, shukr, Allahumma lakal hamdu wa lakal shukr. When you start doing this, maybe in a week or so, they would know that this is something to be done, and then you explain them, Allah has given this bounty. We've been out with such a good dinner. Alhamdulillah, Allahumma lakal. This is very important. Replicate, they will replicate. Okay, very basic exposure of stories of the Prophet. Now, 0 to 7, this is right. Urdu language. If you want your kids to know your values and transfer and get transferred, there is no way except you preserve your own. Unfortunately, this has been relented. There is no excuse. I don't know why people do it. Remember, language brings culture. Language brings value. So if you do away with the language, then you are exploding your own project with a bomb. Believe me, and let me be so explicit. This is what has happened. This is not happening here in North America or in Europe. It's happening right in front of me in Pakistan. My family kids, they don't talk in Urdu. I tell them, please, talk in Urdu. So talk in your own mother tongue, if it's Arabic or whatever, don't leave it. And make sure that they talk in that language. English, they will learn anyways. You see, I have selected Urdu and Arabic reader for the kid. And then I have selected a set of English. So they are so smart at that age that if you want to get them exposed, they will learn. But they should know that, their language is Urdu or Arabic or whatever, mother language. Now, if you do away with mother language, probably you may not know the effect. But after 25, 50 years, you will know the generations will be deprived of the basic values, the culture, the etiquettes that language brings in. So please, that's very important. Okay. I have, because I've been taking a lot of discussions with the kids. We as Muslims have failed in one aspect. Our kids are very, very deficient in seerah, with seerah prophet. Because I was giving a talk with young kids, small, like 7, 8, and then 16 and above. So I asked them one question. I said, at what age was Prophet given his prophethood? Nobody came with an answer. Nobody knew it. See, I'm telling you, it's a time to make sure that it's very, very dangerous. You see, the person who gave us the Quran, we have relented his entire life. At least they should know the landmarks of the chronology, the landmarks of the chronology. How many daughters he had, when did he first get married, so please. And there is a very good book for about 16 plus. It's known as, it was written in Arabic. It's Rahiq al-Makhtoum by some scholar. It has been translated as the sealed nectar. I haven't gone through the book completely, but I have seen the reviews. If our English-speaking kids are given this, best if our kids know Urdu and they get a good books. We have beautiful books of Sirah. So please make sure, if you haven't done this homework, start with them, please. Okay, then introduce the Creator, what he did and continuously does for you. Because it is the relationship that generates love and respect and obedience. So Allah said, you have to make him. Allah does this for us. So, and reading habit is very important. You make them read, because you see, today the reading habit is going away. And technology is very good, it's very beneficial, but that does not mean that good reading habit should be done away with. So please do that. Okay. Now, a lot of people come and tell me, it's very difficult at this in this environment to teach our kids Urdu or Arabic. And then I tell them, do you take your kids for gymnastics? Yeah. Do you take your kids for music lessons? Oh, yes, they are very important. Do you take your kids for football? Yeah. So you will always get the benefit of things that you termed as a priority. When you do not term a particular thing as a priority in your life, you will never get time. So if I don't have a time for some activity, that is for sure that I don't consider this activity as important. There is no excuse. I know people here, they make sure that they go to gymnastic or music school or whatever they take, but they make sure, the mother or the father goes, the boy or the girl talks in Urdu, and then the father and the mother translates to the teacher, and the teacher. So I was just discussing with one of those parents. I said, what happened after 3 months? He was just joking. He said, my son didn't learn English, but the teacher is now very good in Urdu. So, you have to strive. You have to strive. Just making a dream. There is a big scholar who was asked that, Allah has given a guarantee for the provision, the risk, that I have I've made the risk for everybody. So why so people are poor and, people don't get risk? So the scholar said, he said that he has created the risk for everybody. He never said that he's going to provide. You have to find it out, please. You have to strive to get it done. It's there, but you just have to strive. So similarly, it's there for your kids. You have to, and we have to strive for it. Okay. this thing is very important. We have 25 minutes. So there is no excuse. And I please appeal to you, make your kids learn Arabic or Urdu, if not both. Because the majority of the literature that has been written in the last 200 years on our religion is in Urdu. And obviously Arabic is the language of our religion. Because, we are sitting now discussing, let's recompose it. We are discussing raising pious kids and Muslim kids. So please make sure that you learn Arabic. I started learning when I was 40 years old. I'm still a student of Arabic. But believe me, with my schedule, with my every activity and busyness, I did not relent. I have resources. It's you who have to be ready. If you can give time, you can learn in your room, provided you're ready to learn and do some homework. So if you need, I can give you those resources as well. But please make your kids learn Arabic or Urdu. Now it's a very important segment. In our life, in our social setup, our kids are watching everything. We are discussing our relatives, close, distant, backbiting them in our private meetings. And the kids are watching. The cousins, those in-laws, relations. And I can tell you this is a cancer. I cannot be more emphatic on this. Stay away from, in your private gatherings with your kids, peeping into others' matter. They will learn and they learn this. Benchmark and audit your private meetings when you are with the kids and the family. What do you do? I have done this exercise. 90% of the time we are wasting our time putting our nose in somebody else's matter. Well, that else is not present in that. Making fun of people, making fun the way they walk, the way they talk. This is the most dangerous exposure that you can give to your kids. You know why? Because my kids' khala, I'm just giving you an example. My kids' khala and their in-laws. Now, my wife and myself, we are making fun of them, and they're ridiculing them verbally. So our kids get that photograph, and then we visit to them. We are all hunky-dory. Oh, you're so good. I can guarantee you nothing can be more lethal for a kid to develop this personality. You can just go and audit yourself. I did my homework. And we have banned in our meetings that we will not discuss anyone who's not present in the meeting. Never make fun of. A lot of times people say, oh no, it's such a joke. It's not a joke. If you want to make a fun of a person and a joke, make when he's there. And I cannot be more emphatic. Please make sure that we stay away with these type of behavior. And this is unfortunately very rampant. Okay, I'm not one of those who's going to criticize. I'm one of those, I'm going to give you a solution, please. See what happens with me. Every time it happens with me, I'm with somebody, with friends, and they start making bad things and bad ridiculing somebody. I have two options. I change the topic. Finish. If I cannot change the topic, then I have to fight with myself. Just get up. I don't care what I'm just telling you as an example, because you see what medicine has benefited me. I'm going to tell you that. I'm not a scholar in that sense. So there was, may Allah bless him and forgive him. There was a very famous man in Pakistan. He had written a lot of books and everything, and he was like 90 years of age. And I used to value him as my father, and very nice person. But he had a habit of foul language, which I didn't know. So the first time when I sat with him, and when you revere somebody and you have, so first time with his friends, I sat with him, and then he started throwing obscenities on people. And those obscenities were very obscene. So then it was a shock for me. And then I said, what to do? Because there's a respect, there's a reverence for this man. But now I got up and I said, I need to just go and do something. And that wasn't a lie, because I had to do something about it. So, you can't have an excuse. We were taken away, no. If something is bad and it's happening and Allah does not like it, now it's you and yourself. Allah is going to ask you. You were in your control. Why didn't you took away yourself from that company? So please make sure that this is not exposed to the kids. Otherwise, we'll repeat what's going on. Get ready to listen patiently. Don't argue. Give reasons. Develop a critical thinking. We've already discussed this, so I'll just bypass those years and come directly. One thing is, humans are very much prone to the identity. We all love our identities. When it comes to animals, we take pride in identifying as humans. So identity is very important. It's not always bad. It can be termed bad. It can be termed bad. It can be just like anything. But identity as a Muslim is very important. We have foods that we take. We have foods we don't take. This is me identifying myself as Muslim. I will dress up in a manner where my body contours and my private parts are not visible to others. This identity, if you do not perform and demonstrate, then that part will be empty. Because this is at some level, this identity is very important. And I'll tell you, in India, there was a school at that time where a person came and said that, my son doesn't pray and, he's fond of going out and everything. So the scholar told him, okay, what school does he go? He says, he's going to Islamia High School. That religious scholar told him, send him to a missionary school. He said, what? Yeah, I'm telling you. You're asking me? If you're asking me, I'm telling you, if you want to take two, take two. And he did. And after 6 months, he came. He said, my son is now praying. And he's quite religious. He at least thinks about his religion. So the scholar said, yes. Because now in that school, he has an identity crisis. And that identity sensitivity has propped up, because in that school, it was a missionary school. And our Christian brothers were there. So he was maybe a few of those Muslims. So now this is what important. If you don't let them identify as Muslims, and there are a few basic things: your food, your character, your morals, and your dress up. Obviously, we're not going to tell him to dress up with shalwar kameez. No. Islam tells you to dress up in any manner that you like, except for 2 or 3 things that everybody knows. Secondly, when we benchmark people and we train people in making them good Muslims, sometimes we become very harsh and we do not project the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to inculcate in them that things would go wrong. We are not perfect. But there are two categories of people, only two. They make a mistake, and they justify it, and they boast that, we have done right. And there's a second category, making a mistake, realizing it, recompensing it, and then asking forgiveness. This has to be highlighted very much because, one of the, the scruples of Shaitan, because he can only give you some scruples, that's it. Rest we do it. We blame him for everything, but no. So one of the scruples is that, you're a sinner. Oh, you're finished now. You're finished. And that keeps us away from Tawbah. I can tell you, nothing can be more lethal than this tactic. And then your nafs also tells you, what face do you have to go to Allah? Forget about it. That's good. Let it be like this. No, that's the death. Please. So inculcate in yourself. I have inculcated in myself. Anything bad happens, immediately retrieve. Say, Allah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. And there is a hadith. The meaning of this is that, as I have heard from my scholars, my mentors, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said something similar to these words, that kullukum khatta'un. To Sahaba, he said, you all are sinners and making mistakes. All. Kullukum khatta'un wa khairul khatta'in at-tawwabun. And the best of the sinners are those who repent and make tawbah. Now telling me, Nabi is telling us, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. To whom? The piousest of people, So this, I have seen that, our kids' training lacked this. Once thing happened, he does a wrong thing. Oh, then issue. No, please don't make an issue. Show him what next. There is something next. That's not the dead end. So that's very important. Please make sure that Tawbah is instilled in them and in ourselves. Okay, now 17, 16, 18, what happens? I'm coming last 10, 15 minutes. What happens in the kid? Feeling of independence in personality. Potential to achieve all that one wants. I'm on the top of the world. So let's understand what's happening. So that's going to make us more equipped to deal with that. Energies and hormones are being pumped by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you may say the divine system is pumped. And those hormones are so strong that even a mountain coming before you, and we have all gone through this. He said, no problem. This is a mountain. I'm going to climb it. But I want to do this. This is happening. And a lot of time when I discuss with the parents don't understand this situation very clearly. They say, no, we know. No, you don't know. You have to get drowned into this situation and rewind yourself, because we all know we went through. So unless we replicate that feeling in them, we may not be able to tackle it. Okay. Demand for a reasoning and plausible arguments. That's in this age, this demand started at 7, 8. In our times, we would question things after 16. Why would I do that? Baba, why, Mama, why should I do that? Today, it's happening. Now, at this age, 16, this is going to happen more. And in certain circumstances, pressingly in an agitated manner. Now, here comes that 16 years, what did you demonstrate as husband and wife? I want a cup of tea from my wife. And I said, baby, please, can you get me a cup of tea? This is one way. Well, I cannot get it. Can you get it yourself? I'm just working the whole day and you're not getting me the tea. What's wrong with you? Now that's thing, in that 16 years, I gave you an example. If he has watched that happening, then I can guarantee when he wants to get things done from you, he's going to sing. He's going to be the same. So very important. Again, the parents have to do a lot of sweating and labor. Otherwise, at the age 16, 17, they would ask this. this is the time where you should plan their higher studies. This is what I've written. There's no time. I'm not going to spend time on this. And there is a separate segment that I tell how to plan their higher education. The bigger problem that I've seen that, parents at that time don't recognize the talent and the inclination of the kids. Rather, they are, adamant on seeing their kids in certain profession or certain vocation, and they say, no, you got to do it. No, please, this is not. So when the time comes, I'll discuss. Now, the most importantly, this is the time where they get attracted to the opposite gender. First of all, this is very natural. We all went through. This is the time that we should start talking about this activity and the benefit of it. You see, if Allah didn't keep the gender propensity to, attract each other, no procreation would have taken place. Because Allah has decided that He would procreate the human baby not on the tree. Because had it been like, if I want a son, I pray and Allah said, okay, that tree is there, 25 years old, Jawan son comes in and, I'm happy with him. No. He has programmed it. So attraction between the gender is so real and so natural. But a lot of parents, they become quite traumatic, panic. So please understand, this is not something abnormal. This is the time to discuss relationships with a vision of giving them that where would it culminate? It would culminate to a relationship and birth of family institution, which is indispensable for human procreation, evolution. Now, by this time, I've discussed with 16 years old, they understand this. They're very smart, alhamdulillah. So now you have to be very careful in discussing, start discussing these things. Okay. Secondly, when they attract each other, it's very important that in our family, the gender roles and the gender treatment is done in a very nice manner. Because you see, my subject is marital disputes and, how to get things done. I have seen that, we have a long tradition of keeping females as a second grade in the family. And let me be honest, please, this is my observation and conclusion. I'm open to any discussion or correction. By that, inscrutable. It's inscrutable. But for centuries, females have been kept as a step lower than males. Now, in a family relationship, when a husband and wife gets together, Allah has said that, because of this institution, man is going to be the CEO and the woman is going to be a COO. Okay? But it's only when it's the marriage. But for very many reasons, what's happening is today is that a girl child and a male child is treated intentionally or unintentionally in a different manner. So you see the boys, they see their sisters being treated like this, and especially if the father is also treating the mother in a different manner, where this type of message is coming, then their spousal relationship is quite disturbed in the later years. So the first thing you should, if you have boys and girls, you should make sure that your boys and you yourself strive to make your female family members the queen. And I'm not exaggerating, please. The reason is that, Allah has gave them such a big job that they have to be the queen. I can tell you something. You and me, we are males, right? At one age, we require that we should have kids, right? Do all we have this, desire? Now you tell me, if I tell you or you tell me to take a 2 kilo rock and put it on our, waist for 9 months. So you tell me, I tell you that you'll have this. Now you walk with this, you go anywhere you want, you sleep with this. This is just the physical aspect, which we see. What we don't see is what she's going through for 9 months. And then that's not enough. The physical pain she bears in giving the birth of my child to me. Now you compare this. We get a child in our hand. It's the mother and it's the father. Let's reflect. What did the father do? Nothing. In comparison to that. And now it's not the end, it's just the start. So then the female family members, our daughters and sisters, have to be given dignity in front of our boys. If the boy behaves with the sister in a manner, there has to be a very important protest. So once they know how to treat their sisters, and once the father shows the respect of their mother to them, then I can tell you this is most important foundation of a boy to become a good husband. There are very many details, not the time. And with the girls, you have to make sure that they are allowed to do everything which is in the realm of Islam, but they have to be educated that they have not been made the queen just because they wanted to. It's by virtue of a very big responsibility for which they have been made the queen, and that responsibility entails the entire foundation of a family and kids that she needs to take to when she becomes of that age. That has to be inculcated and taught at an early age. Impact of what her mother did, and very rightly, it's going to be there. And I've seen that, in family conflicts, when the mother of the conflicting daughter is all good track, with a good track record, the conflict doesn't last too much. Because she has seen how her mother has taken care of the family issues. And I can tell you, the institution of family and its stability, the ratio of getting sweated and taking pains between a husband and a wife, it's 1 to 10. 10 is for woman, 1 is for man. So our daughters need to be educated on this, so that when they take their career, when they take their desire, their dreams, they must be aware that, these are not to be taken by sacrificing this. And what has happened today, a lot of girls came to me and say, we would like to go for this profession. And I said, no problems at all. But you have to remember that your main function is like this. If you like it or you don't like it. Just like, I'm being told that I'm going to get married. So I will say, okay, I'll get married. But you say, I'm not going to earn anything. I'm going to sit down, relax, and let my wife does this job. I can guarantee you, the highest earner in lady corporate level, even if she's given a choice to marry a husband who's going to take her money, she said, no, I don't want. Kids and my expenses are going to come from him. So I tell them, similarly, if a female child says, I'm not going to have a family, I'm not going to have a kids, I'm going to have this profession. So I tell them, okay, that's fine, that's your choice, because we aren't anybody to tell them how to conduct their life. But then you don't get married. And in the cases I've seen in the last 10 years, girls did this. And after a few years, they said, we feel that we should have gotten married. So what I'm trying to tell is that see this world with a reality lens. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين إنه غفور رحيم. Questions for 20 minutes if you have any. The timer is off today. So,
before you started about a very good topic that was the wisdom and cohesion. So basically, I see the same thing here. Your presentation is really good. I'm an economist. I'm an economics professor. But I don't know if in the audience, anybody who ever learned this economics in at some level after postgraduate, post secondary. Yeah, there are people, right? So that we teach their long run equilibrium, and then we have the mostly economies living the short run equilibrium. The long run equilibrium is an ideal situation, right? The short run equilibrium, we see that all these policies that governments and Federal Reserve and central banks are making directed towards that. So the wisdom basically that, I didn't have the time at that time to ask Brother Khalid, actually, how do we define the wisdom? And once we define the wisdom, then we bring the method, the prerequisites, and the coherent system and all that. It's beautiful, the talk that you have given, but we're talking about everything that's sort of an ideal framework. I always raise my question to wherever within my gathering, the two issues. If we don't have a good raw material, how can we make a good computer, a good car, and good thing? Husband and wife relationship, it starts once they get married. Right? So before they get married, it's not that relationship doesn't exist. But how do they know that when they are marrying with each other and they have what objective do they have? Do they discuss before? So this is what we are going to get married. I like you, you like me, and this is our life objective. That's never been discussed. How we raise our children, how we live our life. And of course, we're talking to the Muslims, right? So the dunya and akhirah, if that wisdom separates that, so that's not the wisdom. So the wisdom is that dunya and akhirah are very well connected. So that coherent system is basically, that's what the Quran teaches us. So this is the coherent system, and actually I never seen from the Prophet ﷺ's life, I don't see any evidence that the girls, Prophet ﷺ married his daughters to the best of the companions. And after that we see, we don't have much of the evidence, but that's what the life was. When we were the kids and when we got married, my dad said, my mom said that, well, you marry here, I married there, right? So I didn't have a chance to talk about that, how I raised my kids. Our time was different. Today, our children are very well educated. But I see that the two things that are happening with the society, though I give my daughter a chance to go and meet the boy, I give my chance to my son to go and meet the girl, but do they discuss these matters that, well, what is our objective of their lives? Or they're talking about the financial issues. They were talking about that one. And secondly, I see that, well, the today's society is really Muslim society. I'm talking mainly. We need to raise good mothers, as you mentioned in the last part of that. Right? So if good mothers are raised, we reduce huge amount of problem in society. Because as you basically categorize different ages, so I would say that the most crucial age is from 0 to 7. And that is the mother's job. Though it's a coherent approach with the dad and the mom, but the mom is given, that's why the mom is given the huge job, the patience, the emotional and the physical and everything. So we need good moms today. And we need to figure out that how when these couples are married, where the objectivity and what the objective they do. That's the main.
Your question is finished?
Yeah.
I'll answer in a very short manner because we don't. My project is this. I'm working on a project which is known as preparing couple for a successful marriage. So whatever you have said in a macro level, I'm taking it in a micro level with different segments. Once couples are aware and they marry and they spend happy time, happy means overall, then automatically the mothers will also get produced. Because if the wife is not a good mother, you can't expect something. If these two are good father and good mother, this is going to. And then obviously today we have this awareness, we have this people, we have scholars, we have people like you who are striving to work on this. So yes, I do have the whole program, and Al-Mawrid has given about 3 series of 3 talks mine. It's an interactive talk. And the whole program is going to be recorded from December onwards. So you can go and see that program. That's a good move. It's going to be done in English as well. So probably you'll get all the answers that you have said. And if you have any questions, I'll give you, I'll write my email address. I'm open because you see, I have learned from people. Books, yes, but from people. So I'll give you my email address. This is my email address. Okay. So you can use some of your documents or whatever. And this is the WhatsApp number. You can get anyone wants. You can send your queries. You can ask for transcripts. This is YGHANI at yahoo.com, and this is 97150925596. So you will get it. And please come up. You see, we are all striving for one cause. Please come up with suggestions, and at our age, what best we can do is this.
One thing that I suggest, I've been involved with many on the different forums. So, you see that the university, museum area, we have many. But those are our university students, they don't come to the mosque frequently, right? So how do we approach the masses? As the masses where they live, they are going to get married, they are going to get a start their life. So do you have such programs that approaching to the university that connect to the MSA, delivering kind of this message to at that forum where the people are there? So that's the, I think that I find a huge gap.
Because you see, I don't live permanently here. I am here for 6 months and then I go live in a place. Khalid Sahib is now, he's the main person. You can get connected with him. And yes, you know what's happening today. There is a problem here. A lot of parents that I met, and a lot of girls and boys that I've met, they have now a problem. And probably your orientation is that. They now say that, when we were young, our kids, our dad told us, not to make girlfriends and make these things, and, our friends were doing boyfriends and girlfriends. So now we are 29. And we are telling our dad and mother to find out girls and boys for us if they can find. This is no challenge. This is a big challenge. So they have pointed out this to that challenge. And that how would we do that? You see, it's arranging family connections. Because you see, you may have a daughter, I may have a boy. They're small now. The more we meet as a family, the more there are chances that our kids also would be getting some situation when they grow up, if we want them to marry in our Muslim society. Otherwise, I have people who tell me that, I don't care if my daughter marries a non-Muslim, doesn't matter. So then, that's their business. But you have to, this is one of the things that I was trying to give it to you.
I have noticed very in Pakistan as well, like we hear in the probably for 9 years, that we introduce some kind of concept of pre-marriage counseling. You don't get into marriage unless you
Yes.
want to a certain,
Yes.
I don't know, KSP, one of these counseling programs.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, we prepare for everything, functions, and all that. I've seen many functions, people there, but I'm not too sure whether the most important thing is what they're prepared for.
See, 10 years ago, I was pressed because of this problem, because when in our community or, oh my, I would like to see my son's Sarah, that find a girl, this, girls in the Jaldi, Shadi Jais ki baat hai. It's a contract. क्या होगा आगे जाके? What will happen? How would they live? No, this is not the time. This is the time to celebrate. Are you crazy? Because they spend a lot of money. Cases come to me every day almost, figuratively speaking. People spending Pakistani rupees 5 million, I don't know how much is that here. And the next month, they call the mother, I say, how is your mother? She's divorced. She took the call up. You spend the entire spending of your life in India alone.
That's why in this case, parents, before even planning the marriage of their kids, they need a counseling person.
That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. You see, my program, I'll give you the details if you write to me. My program, see what happened. 10 years ago, I was put as a member of the community for a conference. So I went there, we sit down with the conflicting couple, and I discuss, I explain to them this and that, they fight and everything. So after waiting a couple of times, I thought that, my job is just like a fire extinguisher. Because there is a fire, there is damage done, and I'm called. I go there, put out the fire, and then what? So I got an idea that why don't we have a fire prevention methodology? And that's how the entire idea came. And then I discussed with Ustaz, and Ustaz said, oh, something that nobody's doing. So then I started. So inshallah, this is going to be carried on. But again, I'm telling you, if you want your kids to be a good spouse, you have to demonstrate.
I'm a grandfather. I have 4 kids who are married and who are already that's what. But the problem is now, if I tell Mawrid today, 29 years old kid, he's not listening. No, I did not prepare my kid when it needed to. So that's what I'm really addressing to the society, that we have not much of resources. I'm really what are better than this one. I see that the kids come into this center, so they are very set mindset. The mainstream students from university, they don't want to focus on that. There is a gap. We have to go to them. Actually, the speakers also, they are very sensitive to the speaker. Right? So the students, the students who are in the universities, they select their now their YouTube is basically their main teacher, main mentor, right? So, but again, physically here, the approach, you want to be a speaker on your different occasions, you get the message across there. So this is
brother, what's your good name, sir?
Zafar Kiani.
Zafar Kiani, this mentor is handed to you. Next time, inshallah, if I'm alive and I can come, we can always till whatever we can give benefits. But you being here permanently, please make sure this is a very important segment.
Inshallah, sure.
Faisal Malik, Allah gave the zeal of Faisal to everybody. I envy him. I see him, alhamdulillah. He has so many things to do, but he is, mashallah, never lapsing in any. MashaAllah. No, this is very important what Kani said. Introducing this segment to the local young kids. You see, youngsters are also having now a problem of finding people, and even if they find, they don't know how to plan, what to do. People come to me. There are few very blessed kids who come to me and say, now we are ready for kids for this. What do I do? And believe me, some of the sensible kids, alhamdulillah, may Allah give them blessing. They are so intelligent that whenever I put everything on their table, and they say, yes, this is right, we need to do this. I need to ask the spouse, my prospective spouse, this. I said, you see, if you don't know all this information today, these may become an issue of fighting between you and your spouse. And I've seen that, majority of the conflict, 40 or 50% of the issues are that had they been told to each other, all the families, they wouldn't have. I'll give you an example in the last. There was a boy in Malaysia who came from Pakistan, and he got educated, highly educated, and went to the corporate level, and he had his old parents in Pakistan. So he came of age, and he was, 30 years plus, and he said, I should get married. So one day he came to Ustaz and he said, now my wedding is set. So Ustaz told him that, who's the girl? So she's in Pakistan and everything. So what would happen to your parents after your marriage? So the boy said, oh, obviously they are going to come and stay with us. So the Ustaz said, have you mentioned this to your prospective spouse? So he says, no. That's understood. So Ustaz says, no, go back and tell her that this is going to happen. And there was a pause of few weeks. The guy came again to Ustaz and he said, what happened? He said, the rishta was rejected. You see, believe me, if this was not done, this would have been a bone of contention between two, and they were fought. And then, while explaining this, he said that there was a boy who came and said, I love a girl, but there is a problem. She said that I don't want you to be with your parents. That's my condition. And you will not going to be with them. They will stay alone. So then he came to Ustaz and said, it's a big problem because they are old, 60 plus, 70 plus, and there's no one to take care of them. But this girl is, Ustaz told him that, go and ask this girl that if you had your parents at 70 plus, you don't have your brother or sister to take care of them. And I tell you that, they are not going to come with us. They're not going to stay with us. How would you feel? When this thing was explained in that manner, the girl understood. You see, a lot of time, things that are seemingly disputable is only the way of conveying things. And the best, in my life, I found this advice of Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Whenever I deal with in business and I try to make terms for them, I always realize that if this term was put on me, would I be happy? Can I get an answer? Believe me, this in my life it is, and we never had a problem in relationship because that test was first passed. And it's something known to everybody, but we are in oblivion when it comes to its implementation. So in this also, when kids are explained in this manner, youngsters or maybe any intellectual person who is sensible, they see the light. Inshallah. Yeah.
First of all, congratulations and thanks to Professor such a nice program. And secondly, we must appreciate the itself about coherence and chronic coherence. Really, a lot of wisdom in it. Well done, wonderful, nice. And finally, in fact, we must appreciate you for your all hard work. Very thoughtful person. So one day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you ajr.
You see, when Ibrahim alayhi salam, Quran says Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he started remaking the Kaaba, and he went, and he did this. He achieved that feat. This Quran says that when they were making it's a long, big feat, of making that Masjid al-Haram, which is, but what did he say afterward? Not that, oh God, I did this thing. No, he said, Rabbana taqabbal minna. Oh my Lord, please accept this from us. And not only this, accept, taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim wa tub alayna innaka antat tawwabur rahim. And forgive us for any shortcomings or mistakes that has happened in this world. So I also say the same. Bas, inshallah.
Just one suggestion.
Yeah.
You touched the Shaitan part of it.
Yeah.
My suggestion, humble suggestion to you and this is something where we put more focus and we're discussing with the, especially with the family, with kids, what is Shaitan, how it works. Is to saying that it's just a whispering, he has that power. According to Quran, it's my personal understanding. I don't know how right and wrong I am. Shaitan works in a larger way. It comes with a plan. If you qualify the Quranic criteria, they will be appointed upon you. And they will chase you. They will show your bad thing as a good thing, and they will make sure until unless you go wrong, they are not going to leave you. So this is the part, and especially when Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, and addressing the entire Bani Adam, that be aware of this thing, that he is going to chase you. And he is going to make sure you fall into the vulgar part of the life. So your dress would be gone because that was the
one of the weapons that Allah said that he is going to take off your clothes.
Yes.
He will remove that. He will induce you. He will not remove. He will induce you to take away that haya that Allah has embedded.
Yeah. So that's the plan he's going to execute because that was the ultimately happened to Adam and Islam. So that is something we should explain to our family, our kids, right?
Yes.
Because usually I find that the only saying that whispering is the power and we go with the Shaitan, kids don't get the power of the Shaitan.
No, I think, if you listen to Khalid Saab's some talks or Ustaz's some talks, and they have a separate segment. So you will, if you take home something, you will have a very good material for your kids. I have done the same thing.
Because, when we are talking about kids and especially at this point in time, we have to talk about those things. And when we say how Shaitan works and in this, phenomena, that would be really something they will buy. Because when we
But you see, today the same thing, the phenomena is same, but we have to explain it in a more logical manner.
yeah.
We have to explain it.